Okay, so just talking about the blog. That would be a very good way, I think, to kind of keep sharing ideas as we go through this unit. And then as we get to the final outcome, documentation of fully realized outcome. Now, what you might decide to do is make a kind of book and design an event around that book that you've made. So you'd have the kind of fully realized outcome, but you may have set up a temporary situation where you've used cheap materials and created a kind of situation where the book is situated, if you like. It would be the photograph of that would be the fully realized outcome. And that photograph, ideally we'd like printed A1 or A2 on the kind of big printer that we've got, so that we can kind of fully clearly see what it is you're doing, obviously with the, the final outcome. So going to the timetable now. Let's just zoom in on that a bit. So here we are today. We've missed these workshops here. Hopefully tomorrow the weather will clear up and we've got this kind of 2-day workshop where we explore creating a kind of big assemblage in groups. So you've had your groups, and you'll what I'll do after this is send you the 2-day project brief. Now some of you are signing up for some of these. There's some clashes here with Fusion, with people doing Fusion. I wanted to do these optional refreshers. I've written to Kat about that. I haven't received a reply yet, but after Easter there are diagnostic tutorials with Kat. So I wonder if we can fit something in here on maybe the first Monday after Easter, sort of to kind of cover these clashes on these kind of workshops on the Monday. Just to say, Kat's workshops are in the usual space for those. So if you go to resources, digital media, she's got them under the spatial practices unit. So the sign-ups are in there. Okay. Here we've got a 3-day workshop with Leslie Davis Evans using the camera, in-camera image making. So beginners on this day here. So if we look at the sign-ups for that, if we go to the unit handout, what I've done with the digital sign-ups here, which are in activity tools, is split them equally between the 2 courses. So in the photography workshops, there are 5. You can have 10 people in a workshop. There are 5 on each course, and there's a refresher on the Wednesday you can sign up to, and there are more intense studio days, intermediate on the Thursday, and then ideas development open to students from the previous 2 sessions to develop ideas. Now, over Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, it says here, there will be a series of photography workshops aimed at boosting your skills and introducing lighting and experimental image making in camera. Tuesday is for beginners, for a refresher in the morning and studio experimentation in the afternoon. So 2 1-hour slots for 10 people in each slot. So that's 20 people. In the afternoon, there'll be half-hour slots organised on the day to give you some studio time. Thursday is for intermediate, with a focus on in-camera experimentation. So in theory, if you wanted to sign up for the beginner's day and then sign up for the intermediate day, that would be quite a good way of getting a lot of kind of camera work in. And as I say, because we want students where appropriate to document their work photographically and use a photographic print, it could be good to do this. Obviously, as designers and illustrators, it's good to have a sort of degree, a level of knowledge of the camera. Obviously, just to take better and more informative photographs when you're kind of on research visits, so that images aren't too dark to work from, or they're kind of too cropped, or they've got camera shake. Understanding why those happen is very, very important, I think. So don't kind of dismiss these as not being relevant. It will be relevant to you, and it's important to have to be able to work in a studio and have the photographic abilities. Friday is for ideas development, experimenting in smaller groups for students who've done the other workshops. So that's where you kind of more focus on. The original idea for this was to think about the way we used to make images. So if we look at, just bear with me, look at Why Not Associates, next directory. Now, Andy Altman came in and gave a talk fairly recently, and it's looking at images like this. Now, this isn't Photoshop. This is kind of just in the era of Photoshop coming in. This isn't Photoshop. This is all done in camera. So that's one of the things that we kind of want you to sort of think about when we're asking you to sort of sign up for these workshops here. So that's on these 3 days here, 6th, 8th and 9th. Obviously got more workshops here, and we'll start rotating students around. These are the only mandatory workshops, I think, with Ben Fletcher. So that's 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon. We'll send out a timetable, and if you can't make it, just try and swap with someone else if you've signed in for a workshop in one of these. Here we've got this talk session. It will be a kind of drawing day. NB is Nicola Barker, and it'd be good to kind of work maybe from some of the things maybe we've made here if you get a chance to do that. Fab Lab inductions here. I'll send out a timetable for this on the 8th for illustration and animation. That's how to use the actual laser cutter. So we've got laser cutter sessions here. Unfortunately, this one's gone. We've got another laser cutter session here. This one is optional, and I'll speak to Andy about that if anyone can get in. Actually, I don't know if Andy will be able to get in for that. I'm just thinking about the way the weather is at the moment. So there's sessions here. If you get the induction and you know how to use the laser cutter through that induction, then you can just go off and book the laser cutter as and when you need it. What's also good about Ben's 3D making workshops is there's a CNC introduction to the CNC. All he's going to do is show you the CNC, but the CNC machine is a machine that cuts out much bigger pieces of wood. And if you can do this here, you can do this here. But also Ben will be teaching you how to make basic supports for kind of propping things up and making plinths for things to sit on. The following week, more optional workshops here, and on the 13th we've got a dissertation introduction at 11:30 for illustration animation, and in the afternoon for graphics, and that is with Mark Sanderson, and that's about how to have an idea. So Suave and I will be working with illustration and animation prior to that and after that, and Anne will be in touch with you about and so on, sort of how that's going to work out that day nearer the time. More continuation of workshops here. Now there's Fab Lab inductions for graphics, and actually I've neglected to mention there are sign-up workshops for Sinead to do stop motion. So if you want to know how to make puppets, we've got a session of people have signed up for it already. That's great. For 10 people with Sinead, and that can go over the following 3 Thursdays. The first session is in the studio because Leslie's using the doing photography stuff, and then the subsequent ones are in AO1 and the studio. More talk studio days on the Friday here. Again, this will be discussion groups and tutorials, and neglected to mention also optional workshops with print, which are here in the activities tools. Again, split between the 2 courses. So if one course doesn't fill up with their activities, then we'll invite people from the other course to kind of fill in the gaps. But Luke Overeem's a really good printmaker and just general, really good, guy. He did have him down for doing in this day, but he's double booked with the ICA, so we've moved him to here, 4th of April. So I know Ola and Daniela had signed up for that, so you may need to kind of decide what to do about that. So we've got Easter break, 2 weeks, and this is why we call it a 10-week project, 1 to 10 weeks. We expect you to be working in those 2 weeks, so just use your time management wisely. Just parcel out your time, how you're going to use it, and fit in all of your uni work that you need to do. After this, then we've got for illustration animation anyway, and I'm pretty certain and Karen Delion will do the same thing. On a Tuesday, there'll be kind of theory sessions, discussions, group discussions, and talking about your dissertation, what you're going to do for your dissertation. More diagnostic sign-up tutorials here. One more session with Ben here, and the project sort of is driven forward now by your more independent study and taught sessions on the Friday. On the 20th, you'll notice that John and Esther are in graphics, and Anne and Melissa are in illustration animation. That's because part of the thing about the dissertation is that there's a design element that goes into that. So Anne is going to kind of swap to sort of give the illustration animation students some sort of design, graphic design input, and Esther and I will be working with graphics, and we've got a kind of little plan for what we're going to do there. And at the end of the term, you present your dissertation ideas, and we try and do some sort of exhibition setup here. So there's question marks around these because we're not sure how things are going to work out with the third years and their degree show, but we'll cross that and we'll communicate that nearer the time. And as I say, the handing is on the 8th of May. Now, we want you to engage as much as you can with this bibliography. There's an awful lot of information here. Yeah, and what you can do is kind of just click on them, and it goes straight to, well, it should go straight to the link. Maybe just gone to YouTube full stop. Okay, I'll have to check some of these links. Okay, some are working, some aren't, so I'll have a little look at that, but there you get an indication of how those are working, so they're sort of easier to click through. Okay, and as I say, there's an awful lot of information in your teaching materials here. So in this browser, this plugin is not supported, but in it might be that the browser needs updating, or you can try a different browser. But yeah, there's quite a few more animation films on this side. Okay, so have a look at these. One of the things I think is quite interesting about Clemens Bayer's work, is it has a, if you click on it, click on the link, it has an image, it has a connection to his website. It's with a nice little article here. What I think is interesting about this work is not necessarily the fact that it's kind of just abstract. I just love the way it kind of plays with the space. I mean, his references, if you kind of research him a bit further, his references are kind of very architectural and spatial. But if we go to his website, and go to his info, you can see he studied graphic design in Germany. So it's not necessarily you know, when you start at this point of kind of studying on a course, but you know, look at where it takes you. And this person now works in a variety of ways. You know, works at festivals, works at events. You know, works sometimes quite commercially, quite corporately, and works globally. So this, I think, might be in Morocco, but there are other instances from Sao Paulo in Brazil, and you know, all around Europe. So it's you know, this unit has the potential to kind of add something to your practice that you may not have realised that you enjoyed doing, and it's that kind of practical experience that we're really keen for you to sort of take on board.